You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. It's March the 16th, 2022, and we are live here on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook pages and its YouTube channel. I'm your host, Al Graham, and I'm joined here by my joint host, Tamara Cartwright. Good night. Good day, Tamara. How are you doing?
Good, Al. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Just trying to get all those words out. And, here it is nighttime. The sun is just starting to set. You still got a couple more hours of light, don't you?
With the time change, the sun was going down right before 7 o'clock. And now with the time change, it's now going down again right before 7 o'clock. Only at 6 o'clock now, right? So yeah, it's we probably have another an hour of sunlight yet. Still, yeah.
Yeah.
It's only 6 p.m. It's 8 p.m. out your way. And
correct.
It's 6
yes.
Here, right?
Yeah. It's
so
8 o'clock.
2 hours behind it, but I'm not Pacific time. Like I'm not Vancouver time either. I'm in the mountains, so I'm on Alberta time, even though I'm in BC.
Well, there you go. You're on the east side of the mountains, so that's what happens.
Yeah.
Now, would you be Central Standard Time or are you Mountain Standard Time?
We're Mountain Standard Time.
Mountain Time.
So same as Calgary, same as Edmonton, same as Alberta, and then Saskatchewan pretty much doesn't change their time.
Yeah, they don't do that. Yeah, they don't exactly. Yeah. Did you see the government here made some changes when it comes to beverages and the legality of things?
Yeah, apparently you can get more now, but
yeah,
no higher. So you can just get more logged.
Well, you can get more waterlogged, I guess, as far as having that way. Well, yeah, the beverage quantities when it comes to equivalency to a gram of cannabis, they changed it so that instead of now being only able to buy basically 2 liters. So you just think of a 2-liter pop bottle. That's all you're legally allowed to buy of beverages.
Yeah.
From a cannabis store, which just seemed crazy.
Right? That'd be like going in and buying one of those 2 liters of Orchard Cooler, and that's all you're allowed.
That's all you're allowed. Like, there's no restriction for you to go in there.
And it's like on such low milligram, like even Orchard Cooler would get you, one of those would at least give you a buzz because it's at least 4% alcohol, where there's like 10 milligrams of THC in that same amount, which wouldn't do anything for you.
Yeah, it depends. Obviously, it depends on the person and the amount that they're used to consuming. But I was sort of disappointed in that end of things, not seeing that increase. But being able to purchase more will help. It helps the consumers because now you can buy equivalent to 17 liters of it. Which is it is more, but you still
buy 4 at a time. You can buy what?
You can go. You don't drink bleach, but it can be dangerous, and there's no limit on the amount of containers of bleach that you can buy.
Right. I could never understand that. Like even with the, you can get 28 grams a day.
Yeah. Well, it's 30.
Does it matter? Like, are you limiting how much liquor I can go in and buy? No, I could go and buy. If I have $5,000 and I was wanting to buy $5,000 worth of liquor, they would load it into the back of my truck and never even ask me a question.
Well, I got to think that with like if you live in Toronto, okay, not where I live, but if you live in Toronto, where people are complaining about the stores being bang, 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 well, it's in one store, grab your ounce, well, I guess you're still going to be carrying it afterwards and say into the next store, weave back and forth in and out of the stores. You're still going to be, you have to,
drop it off. Like
maybe you live close, right?
To be fair, to be fair, one of the stores that in town here, I can walk in there and buy pretty much what I want. I just run it through as different transactions.
Well,
So
you
you
could
buy
do
an ounce,
yeah.
and then if you want to buy a couple more grams or you want to buy a vape, and you can't buy it all in one transaction, they'll just do different transactions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Well,
still
yeah.
go to the store with more than 30 grams. You're still walking, but you're allowed to technically carry 150 grams.
Well, as a patient, yeah, that's it. So
Right.
150 of those. That's a lot of beverages, but yeah, it's too bad. It's
What do you think?
there's still a restriction on it, but it's a step, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things, and it's
Yep.
not part of the overall review. Maybe the milligrammage will be increased when they do the review. Who knows? I'm not putting
But
hope
like
on
I said, honestly, I've never tried one. I've never bought any of the drinks from the
No,
cannabis.
I had
I know you tried them. I've seen you test them. You tested them a couple times on prior shows and stuff that we've done. And what do you think of them?
well, I did the shooters. Well, I actually did 2 shooters, and I did a crystal, like a drink mix.
Yeah.
And the 2 shooters, the one was better than the other. They were both 10 milliliters. One shooter contained 30 milliliters of fluid, and the other one was 45. So the smaller one obviously was a little more
What are the
concentrated.
milligrams on those? 10 milligrams?
10 milligrams, right? With 30 milliliters of fluid in it, cost me $6. So to get like a beverage sized drink, like 225 milliliters, you're looking at, or a little more than that, let's say eight containers to get a glass full. That's basically $50 to fill a glass.
Yeah, right. So they're shooters.
So hopefully, you'd be pretty hopeful. I don't know.
Like
I haven't.
they look like cans. I've seen the cans. They look like a pop can.
Yeah. No, I
I've seen
can't. Yeah, there was other choices like pops and iced teas and things like that.
but you
But
can't.
I can't drink the pops. I don't like the iced teas, and so I tried those shooters. Since then, I've been going to our sponsors. I go down to Legacy 420. I got some eggnog. I got some raspberry lemonade. I got some infused chocolate milk, 25 and 30 milligram milligram measurements.
A different market though too, right?
Yeah. I call that the indigenous market. That's one of our 3 systems.
It's
I call
legacy
it.
indigenous market, right? So it's different
Yeah.
regulations altogether because they don't run the same, and that's okay. I think that's better, to be fair.
Well,
Like I said, and they do and Legacy 420 does the testing out there. Like
yeah,
let's
and
face
they produce
it,
it.
everything and produce everything out there.
Yeah,
So it's like farm to plate, and then test it along the way. And we know this because you've been there, you've seen it
I've been
yourself.
there. I've seen it.
There's exactly. So there's no disputing that there's anything funny going on. It's and knowing that
Yeah.
Dr. Hornsby had anything to do with them to begin with, and
Oh,
bless his heart that he's put so much effort into cannabis. Like I said, from Haley Rose and her nasal spray right down to with Tim in Saskatoon. We used to
John.
work with Tim, and now Tim out at Legacy because we had the other Tim in Saskatchewan too, where he was there for a while. He was out in Saskatoon for a bit. And then he went into Ontario and helped him at Legacy 420. So all that information and Paul Hornsby's an expert. So
Yeah.
anything he touches, I'm guaranteeing is done right to
Yeah.
the way it should be.
Well,
Specification.
what do you say? Time to bring in our guest?
Sure. Let's
All right.
introduce him because here's the thing. He's a new co-host on your other show too.
He's going to be joining us here on the network. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
we're introducing you to him as a new part of our network too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. New to the network, new to the shows. We will get into the details after I introduce them. So, at this time, I'd like to welcome our friend, our guest, and our new joint host here on the Pace Radio Network, and that is Glenn Prentice to the Pace Radio Show. G'day, Glenn. How you doing?
Hello, all. How are you?
Not too bad. And yourself?
I'm doing very good today.
Good. How's the East Coast?
The East Coast is very cold and damp.
There you
Like
go.
normal, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to dress for 3 different seasons here every day.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? Hey, tonight we're going coast to coast. Is Tamara is out west, and you're on the east, and here I'm in central.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We got.
Best way to have it. Then it's then you get a little bit of different regional opinions, because everybody.
Right.
It's funny that we're a vast country, and regionally we're all very different. And I think that really comes out when we start, mixing and mingling. We all think, oh, you're all Canadian, you're all the same, but we're not.
No.
We're all pretty different, right?
No.
That's right. There's 36 or 39 million of us. We're all different. All our DNA tells us that, anyways.
Right. But even regionally, like, we even speak differently.
Yeah.
We all have different accents,
Right.
and that's the thing. Like, everybody goes, well, where are you from? You got an accent. I'm like, do I? And then you hear somebody from Nova Scotia or Newfoundland, and we think, well, they've got an accent. They're going, do we? And
The
then
farther I walk east, the thicker it gets.
Right? Yeah. And then you've got Quebec people, they've got that bit of a French, and some of them don't speak English at all, whereas a lot of Westerners don't speak French at all. So we're, like I said, we're also diverse and different.
Yeah.
And it's, regional. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's on the East Coast. He's not originally from the East Coast. He's from the Big Smoke, Toronto area and stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna get into that stuff. But as I mentioned, Glenn is joining us here on the Pace Radio Network, and we're gonna throw him right to the wolves. First thing, start off, and that's gonna be tomorrow. He's gonna join us here with the Reefer Reporters.
Looking forward to it.
And we're looking forward to you doing so. It's being able to do the news is one way of is a form of education. It's a way to educate people. Like, just like over the last 2 days, I've been going over with you with how we do things. So when we go live tomorrow, you have some bit of an idea, and that. Just during that, I'm sure you're reading some of these stories that, geez, I didn't know about this. Well, when did this happen?
Every single story, there's something in there that's new to me.
Yeah, and if it's new to you, it's new to the listeners or the watchers that are out there on the program as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and I know Tamara. I threw her to the wolves there one day to do the Reefer Reporters with me, and she didn't have any experience in the Reefer Reporters, but at least we had some back experience with the Grassroots Advocate.
Yeah. And I mean, once you pull everything up, and he helps you line everything up, you open it up. It's not that bad.
Computer, I'm very challenged at computer, so.
Yeah,
you just have to tab open. Just remember how to tab open so you can read the story.
Okay, well, Glenn just said he's computer challenged, right?
What are you gonna do?
I had to show him, and this isn't trying to embarrass Glenn or anything, but I had to show him, tell him how to move the tabs to get them in order, how to grab it and move it along, because he's just never done that before.
No.
You know what? I wouldn't know how to do that either, to be fair.
I do everything on my phone.
Yeah.
I you know what? I do most everything on my phone. I do my shows on. I've got a desktop Mac, but it's different from a PC too. So I get it, because I'm not really I can't do any of these memes. I don't do digital art. I can't do all the fancies. I can't do any of that. I can turn it on. I feel for you.
Just so you know, Glenn, you're not alone, because one of our listeners, Suzanne Plouffe, she says, me too.
That's my friend Suzanne Plouffe. She's from Lethbridge. So that's my girlfriend Suzanne. So thanks for watching.
Right? So there you go. You're not alone, man. There's others the same way, and it's all a process of learning. It's you've caught on very quickly we've done it twice just to go through things, and
well, we're gonna find out tomorrow how good I caught on.
You to be fine.
Yeah, I think you'll do perfect. There will be those times where we might sort of both go to start something, but that's expected. That'll happen, and I'll indicate go ahead or whatever, and they'll go ahead and do the thing. So it's when all of a sudden maybe like Tamara, in our interview with Scott Mokown from, well, I'll have to get into that in a second here. When Scott Mokown was on the show, all of a sudden we lost his audio. Remember, he couldn't, yeah. And it was because he got a phone call during the show. So Glenn and I, we were doing a test on this so he can, figure out how things work. And the same thing happened to him all of a sudden. Because he was
That just reminded me, I forgot to shut my phone off.
That's why I do it on my computer, because then I've got my phone's over here. I don't have to worry about it. The phone, I just find you have to hold it up and you have to prop it up yeah. But again, if you don't have access to that, then you use what you've got, right? So it all works. Like I said, as long as we can, see and you can see and you can hear, you're good to go. Like I said, it's pretty easy. It's easy. It's just kind of it's just yeah.
Another thing about doing the Reefer Reporters, not only you learn something new, what's going on in Canada or the U.S., but because you cover international news, and you get to learn about what's going on in other countries and seeing what they're experiencing. And as you saw, some of the stuff that today, when we were doing our testing, and who knows, it could be a story tomorrow that we cover. But that was the one on Denmark. You believe cannabis was legal over there?
I always thought it was. I didn't know that.
And what did you learn in the news?
Well, it turns out it's not quite illegal. It's one of those little gray areas.
Yeah.
Seems to be a lot of places in the world there's little gray areas.
With Amsterdam too, they kind of tightened things up. They got a new government that went in there and changed things around. And Amsterdam's not as easy to go and touristy and go grab. You have to be a resident of Amsterdam. You can't. It really locked things down. But here's a nice thing about Poland, they're legal, right? So things are actually they will move eventually over to relax again, but it just depends on Canada being the first G7 country to actually legalize federally was a big move, because before that there was only Ecuador. Was it Ecuador?
No, Uruguay.
Sorry, yeah. That had, legalized all small amounts of drugs of all kinds, though, to be fair, all small amounts, which really dropped their crime rate. But again, it still then took, I think it was almost 10 years before we got legalization in Canada, and it's still no laws attached to it. So it's really hard to call it legalization when there's still laws that you could break and still get fined for, go to jail for. So it's more of a regulation than legalization as far as I mean. I'm not saying that it's all bad. I'm just that the whole point of the fact that there's still laws attached to any possession that's illicit or any passing off is trafficking, or anybody that's growing more than 4 plants is illegally cultivating. None of that should be none of it should just be gone.
Like Quebec, here we are legal in Canada, but yet in Quebec, what did we learn, Glenn? Fines of 700.
They're one of the strictest ones there,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
I'm of the opinion that I don't think they meant for it to be legal. I think they just wanted to tax it and regulate it and keep everything else the way it was.
To a point. But here's what started that whole process was the fact that the conservative government wanted to take patients' rights away to be able to grow their own cannabis. So they flushed off and pushed in the MMPR legislation, which was done, and that's when the big companies started.
That's what created
production, right?
Yeah, they tried to take our grow rights away from us.
Right. And then and then patients went back to court, and they still have that injunction in place where the MMPR, for some people that have never moved, they're still under the MMPR. Some people still hold that paperwork to grow their medicine, right?
I had that paperwork till a couple months ago when I moved here.
Right.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, it's still legal where I am, because I don't think they should have the right to change the law just because I changed my address.
I know what a pain.
You always had to change your address, no matter whether it was because the MMP. Okay, here's the reason why.
They want to know where you're growing, man. They don't want you.
But because it's still an injunction, they've never ruled on that. That's why you can't change your address. And we went back to court. The patients went back to court and tried fighting about getting the judge to change that ruling and portion of the injunction, and they struck that down too. They have the NPR now, which is actually, to be fair, less paperwork, less of a hassle to get. You just have to still pay a doctor. And that's the unfortunate thing, is they still haven't processed it enough that we don't have to pay for doctors if we want to grow our own medicine. You can get an LP license for free online. There's an app. Seriously, you can get up to, whatever, 12, 14, 20 grams, as long as they figure you can afford it through their licensed productions.
You
want to get a grow license, these places on the app won't, but there are places that it can sign you up for 10 grams of, a day, which will give you 49 plants. It's still going to cost you $200 though. I don't know of any that are free for growing still. And that's an atrocity. We should never have been, I don't think we should have ever needed a license anyways. It's like a dog tag. That's how I always felt, right?
Yeah.
The now, as far as I see here, we got some more comments from Suzanne.
You can just ignore the one about. You can just ignore it.
Well, see, she's got a comment which might I'm gonna bring it up as a question to Glenn here. Okay, and that's it. Suzanne says, "Let's hear sing together." So I think she's talking about everybody talking about maybe the same subject or something. But I'm going to sort of look at it as singing, as in someone singing. Now, I know Glenn. I don't know if Glenn sings or not, but I know that you.
I sing very badly.
I
play guitar very badly too.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say you collect guitars.
Yes, I love guitars. I play them. Like I said, I'm not very good at them, but I do enjoy it. Mostly by myself because I'm not very good at it. So, but that's about it. I'm not a singer. My son's a great player and a great singer. So,
yes. Suzanne says she agrees. She says,
I've known Suzanne for 30 years. Okay, Suzanne.
Have you? Oh, there you go.
So why she's harassing me? She's like, go ahead and sing, because she plays guitar really, really well. She's a super talented artist as well. She paints. She does all kinds of fartsy stuff. So she's, like I said, I've known Suzanne for 30 years. She's one of my best and oldest and dearest friends. So she's come to watch me tonight, which I really appreciate. So thanks for coming in. I see JR is here tonight too. Hi, JR. We're gonna got a couple of my friends hanging out tonight.
Good to see. Now we got a comment from JR here as well. JR Rowley. He's saying that, like the 4-plant rule, no control over size.
Right.
Well, I know at one time the federal government did have that.
They did.
They could limit us to the size.
We made such a stink about that. We're like, what are they going to do? Put a line on their pants? Like,
it was 100 centimeters. 100 centimeter limit. It was crazy. Like,
you could have a leaf overnight that goes over there.
Right?
Trimming it every day.
It's such a ridiculous. But in hindsight, it's still ridiculous because you can't have them in your front window. You can't have them visible in your yard. So if you have a huge backyard and you don't have an 8-foot fence and your marijuana plant grows up over the 8-foot fence and your neighbors can see it, that's illegal. There was a lady here in Grand Forks, I think it was Grand Forks or Revelstoke, that had a garden that she showed off in the summertime with all her nice flowers and stuff. And it was like a garden tour, and she had 4 plants growing out in her garden. But because she didn't notify anybody, and there happened to be a cop that came through on her garden tour, she got raided for those 4 plants. Now, nothing ever came of it. I never heard anything more, whether she was charged or anything. But they still came and took those 4 plants.
They said that because of the garden tour, her property was now being used as public, and the plants can't be seen publicly. And that includes balconies and stuff.
Like, that's just ridiculous, most ridiculous. But again, these are laws that are still attached to our legalized cannabis.
Yeah, or a $400 fine, as we discovered earlier in some places. Hey, Glenn. Yeah. All right. Well, let's learn a little bit more about Glenn. We know that he likes guitars, likes to have them. Not very good at playing them.
No.
Maybe. Well, see, Tamara sings too. Maybe the two of you could get together.
Yeah, you never know what could happen.
Yeah. Create a song for us.
Oh yeah.
I write lots of songs. I don't know if they're good ones, but I write lots of them.
Well, they say some songs, the best songs are written on napkins.
It's true.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. I write scraps of paper, anything I come up with a little idea, I write it down and I carry it around until I can figure something that goes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, Sue's like, I can help. We'll have to think about that. That's, a project to think of because, like, to be fair, my other co-host for my other show wants to spin off and do some entertainment on another project. So this is something that we've been, kind of throwing back and forth too, like have a show on the network that's cannabis entertainment. People that sing cannabis songs and do cannabis comedy and cannabis art and you know what I mean? And bring them in and have them show us and showcase them. But like I said, we have to find talent to do that, right? And have it sustainable. So we're still
So who knows? Maybe we'll be able to see you sit here and play guitar.
Right.
Well, maybe one day.
Maybe one.
I have no guarantees for that one.
Here's the beauty of video, right? That's the beauty of video, that you can put 10 people in one room all at once and have a concert. And that's the beauty of doing video. Even with Spreaker, with the phones and stuff, we still have the ability to bring, like, how many guests do we have on that 420 show, the one year?
Well, we can have 10. Right now, I think it's 10 we can bring into
right?
these rooms.
We had like people from coast to coast, and we'd like have like 6 on at a time. The worst part about it was everybody jumping on each other to get the word in edgewise kind of thing.
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. Yeah. We sort of speak over each other a little bit. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Now, I know, Glenn, when it comes to reading some of these stories, and I know Tamara probably, we ran into some of these news stories. How is your pronunciation with names?
I guess I'm okay. It depends on the language I'm trying to pronounce. It's some of those names are really hard.
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to do drug names and things like that.
Yes. Well,
we tried to do a medical article earlier today, and there was so many words that were 8, 9, 10 letters long. Right? I have a hard time pronouncing those ones.
Yeah, Tamara, we ran into that problem when we do Grassroots Advocate. When we're doing the
medical. You make it. You just fake it. You just gotta stumble through and pretend you know what you're talking about. It'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Yeah.
There's lots of stuff I can't pronounce either, and we'll be going through a story and stuff, and it's like, no. Move forward.
Yes, and quite often when it comes to guests, our guests themselves, the names aren't Smith or Jones or Prentice.
How hard was it to learn Julie's last name?
Corello, yeah, that was
Chiriello, like there were so many different ways of
I had to have it in my notes. I had how to pronounce it in the beginning because I wanted to try to make sure I got it right, because obviously I was going to say it all the time, right?
But yeah, Corello, and it was like, because of the CH in the front, it was like, it's like, no, you don't say it that way. But if you see it, right? But that was something we would always stumble over Julie's name. All of us, not just now, all of us,
Yeah, and some people have really, had some fun with the fact that you've had problems mispronouncing names. Now, when it comes to the news, it'll just be, you and me that are going to have, a good chuckle at that time between us, instead of, 3 or 4 of us trying to do it in a show setting. So, maybe sometimes under our breath, we'll be laughing at each other.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
I'm sure we will.
That's the best part of it, is, as long as you can have a good time while you're doing it, right?
Exactly. Have fun.
Right?
Yeah. Just relax, have fun. What we're discussing, it's all there right in front of us on the screen. And if you get lost, that's what your partner is there for, to get you back in the right spot and keep the show going along.
Yeah, so you don't go off into tangents and like I do.
Yeah, that can happen, because as we're going along and talking, we're also giving opinions, right?
Of course,
on or sharing experiences to something that was similar to what was in a story. So we can get a little long on the tooth when it comes to them. So sometimes we've got to have some self-control there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what
you just have to cut me off.
Yeah, we can do that. I actually I do it. I tried to,
you need a cartoon hook.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right. Talking about cutting you off, it's time to cut you off. It's break time. All right. When we return, Tamara and I will continue our talk with our newest network host, Glenn Prentice. This is the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on our YouTube channel as well as on Facebook. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
The only way to go.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains, and when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed, and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. And you're watching the Pace Radio Show. We are live on our Facebook pages as well as on our YouTube channel. Plus, if you missed tonight's live version, you can always catch it at the paceradio.net website. I get that out. Today on the program, we're joined by our guest and our newest network host, Glenn Prentice, who comes all the way to us from New Brunswick, as well as my joint host, Tamara Cartwright, is here with us. Well, before the break, we were talking about several things when it comes to, we talked about guitars and what we didn't talk about was the first time that, we sometimes like to tell stories here, and the first times that we toped, and some people have some really funny stories, and some people have some stories that makes you go like, what? And so have you got a funny story, or have you got a situation that you'd like to, maybe discuss from, those early days? And obviously, you got a beard, you got a gray beard, you're not 20 anymore.
No. I don't know if it's a funny story, but the first time I smoked pot was I I was handed a joint by, I believe, a 14-year-old. I was 11 at the time, walking home from school. And we used to walk through this like a wooded area before you got home. It was the fastest way to get there. Well, there's a little wooded area where they used to have fires and stuff at nighttime. You know, the high school kids would hang out there.
The local
forest. As we're walking by there, we smelled this weird smell, of course. You know, we're kids, right?
Right.
So there was these 14, 15-year-old kids there. And one of them handed me a joint. And I tried it. And I don't believe it really did anything. At the time, I thought it did, you know, because I probably would have got high off anything. It wouldn't matter what it was. But I don't think I really got high off it because I only had a puff of it.
Yeah, I'm assuming you must have known what it was when you passed.
Oh yeah, well they said what it was. We smelt it, you know. And I lived in a really seamy neighborhood in Toronto when I was a little kid. Very low rent, low income neighborhood. So it was around. You smelt it, you know. Saturday nights for sure.
It was available. If you're looking for it.
Next door neighbor apartment, you know, things like that. You always smelt it, right?
So 11. You know, I was 13. You know, a couple years older than you. I don't know how old you were, Tamara, the first time you did a tote.
Probably about 13, 14 too.
13, 14.
Basketball game, and you know, and it was like we thought we were stoned, whether we were or not. We got the munchies and we giggled a lot. So you know what I mean? A bunch of little girls kind of with one joint that somebody had found in their mom's dresser, you know, right?
Yeah.
I remember walking, like, even like, because I live where my grandparents, I'm in the same house, walking towards the park, and the house always had a bit of a peppery kind of, you know, flavoring smell to it, right? So and now that you're an adult, you're like, oh, that was weed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like, you know, 11. I mean,
it was kind of young, but that was one time, and then it wasn't for a couple years after that till I did it on a normal basis, a regular.
So yeah, so you didn't become somebody who consumed it on a regular basis at
no, 13, 14.
Yeah.
I was doing the same thing all my friends were doing. We lived in a bad area. We did whatever we wanted, basically. You know, there wasn't a lot of controls, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And even back then, it's not like today that the parents, they would send you out and say, come back when it's dark. You know, you'd be gone for hours and hours and hours. They wouldn't know where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know at one time when I was younger, I did have that street light rule. When the street lights come on, you know, because I lived in well, you lived in the city.
Yeah.
And yeah, when the street lights come on, then you head into the house. But yeah, it was out there. And but it was good. You know, you didn't continue, and that's what people always have the fear about with, you know, with the young person. And you know, you continued on with school and
I went to college and did all that fancy stuff.
That's right, exactly.
I smoked the whole time.
Yeah. Now, from there, you ended up obviously. You know, things went on, life carried on. Now, when we first met, that was, what was that? Around
12, 13 years ago, I think.
Yeah, 2010?
Somewhere right around there, yeah. 29, 2010.
Yeah, because PACE officially started in the fall of 2010 after the Treating Yourself Expo. And then that's when I started doing the documentaries at the Grindhouse Cafe.
That's the first time I met you.
That's where we met, was during the documentaries. And all I could think of was, holy shit, this guy's bringing his family here.
I've never had a problem with cannabis ever in my whole life. I've never had a problem with people who used cannabis or any derivatives of it. The only time I've ever really had problems is with alcohol. And I've had problems with them, and most people that I knew had problems with them. And but cannabis, never. I never had that problem. So it's always been a good experience. And I've smoked my whole life. I have 5 kids, 34 down to 16. And every one of them, when they were 15 or so, found out that I smoked because I told them. You know, I'm pretty honest that way. So when I came to the PACE meetings, I had no problem bringing my son there. No problem at all. And he turned out to be one of the youngest persons who actually had I don't know what it was called, but he possess and grow cannabis when he was 17. 17. Yeah, he has a problem with his spine, so he got a legal license, whatever. I don't know what it was called.
Yeah, he would have got his license.
Big long permit like this.
Yeah, that was the old pink slip, the old
the big pink page.
Yeah, the old MMAR days. You know, I call our medical program the alphabet soup because it changes, right? And
times, right? Like it was
exactly.
AR, then it was the MMPR, then it was the ACMPR.
Yeah.
And then now it is the ACMPR.
So Glenn would turn around and we did these movies once a month. Each month was a different theme. There was 4 different themes that were covered, and they came to the movies. And for quite a while there in the beginning, I had to do 2 of them on Sundays.
I remember you doing those.
Yeah,
I remember you doing
because there were so many people that were attending, and sometimes there was nurses that would come there and they'd sit there with their notepad on at the table, and they'd be taking notes.
I remember a couple of times when they were there, when there was a couple nurses there.
Yeah. So it was good. It was you got to meet different people and stuff, and look, you get a friendship that goes on for a lifetime. You just never know, right?
Yep.
What can happen. So, but now from there, you did the we got to know each other and understand what each other is about, and we invited you along to join in on the grow up tournaments. Do you remember them?
I love them. I still wish I'd be able to go to them. It's a long distance travel to get to them now.
It is. Well, if you ever come this way again, even if you're coming for a visit, we'll have to have a tournament that weekend.
Perfect.
What are the laws like for that kind of stuff in New Brunswick? Are you not allowed to grow cannabis in New Brunswick legally? Like, what are the laws like out there?
As far as I know, we're very equivalent to Ontario. We can grow 4 plants here. I basically grow what I want. I never had a problem with anybody. I don't put it in people's faces, so it's always behind the scenes. But I smoke in the open. I always have. I never had a problem here. I've actually been pulled over at least 2 or 3 times while I was smoking a joint, and never ever been fined for it.
Really?
I've had officers ask me about the smell twice, once at a ride check, and never had a problem with it because I smoke on a regular basis, so all day long, pretty well every day. I don't get like too high, I smoke 1 joint and that might be 2 hours later I'm driving.
You get to a plateau?
Yeah. I just stay there. It doesn't matter. I could smoke 50 joints and I'll stay the same.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think people don't understand that. It's not the same as alcohol where the more you drink, the drunker you get. With cannabis, you plateau and that's pretty much you're good, and then it's maintenance. Like you don't get any higher. It's not like you're gonna, and if you do get too high, you fall asleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to be fair, if you're getting, if you get a little bit too much intake, you're sleeping, right? With alcohol, you're getting drunker and more belligerent, and then eventually you do fall asleep. Eventually you do pass out if you drink too much too. But the levels are way different. Like you can smoke way more cannabis than you could, that's one thing I don't like comparing the two of them, to be fair, because it's like apples to oranges. Like even though they want to, with regulations, like kind of put them on the same, even playing field, but they're not. They're absolutely not the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a 12-year-old that lives with, my oldest one's 29, but I've got a 12-year-old that I still have, that lives in our house, and my kids have always been exposed to it. I've never hidden it from them, ever. Like they know my medicine, and then nobody touches it, and nobody has ever done. my youngest son, not the youngest one, but my 25-year-old had cancer when he was 17. So we got him a medical license then because he had cancer, right? So it's just what you have to do for your kids, and that's just the way it is, right? And I've never hidden it from them. It was pointless. Why lie to your kids? It's just hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's it can for some people it can be different. Like Glenn, like everything was good there with yours. On my end, most of mine were, but I did have one that had some problems and concerns, and in the end, everything obviously turned out really well. But to some people, it depends on what they've been taught.
And sometimes it doesn't matter, because I've got one that's totally lost too, and it doesn't matter what we would have done, what we did do, and sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I have 5 children, and everyone is completely different. So one goes in one direction, and the others go in other directions. It's all.
Now, on the legalization there in New Brunswick, Tamara asked you about the plants. Now, what about when it comes to the stores?
Stores, we had some really good dispensaries here, some great dispensaries. They were all closed down in a 3-day period under threats of giant fines and arrests. The only good dispensaries here are on reserves. We do have a reserve fairly close to where I am, so that's a good thing. I like it. And they are starting to open it up to private growers here with mega money and basically fair-sized farms. Last year, you were allowed to purchase only from New Brunswick producers to sell in that private store. They've opened it up this year, and you're allowed to purchase from any Canadian licensed producer. So that's where we're sitting right now. I don't know what's
here in Ontario. Like here in Ontario, I don't know. I've lost count. Somewhere around 1,500 stores. What's it like where you are? Are the stores are mainly run by the province, are they not?
Yeah, we have 2 Cannabis NB stores in Fredericton. There's a population around 65,000 people.
And you got 2 stores.
2 stores. The 2 stores are like monolith. They make liquor stores look like they're convenient corner stores, They have marble tables, and it's just insane when you go in there. It doesn't even make me feel comfortable because I'm not one of those ritzy people, On the reserve in town here, or should right on the edges of town, there's probably 30 stores, and there's a population of maybe 3,000. So, and they have a really good selection there. So you can get almost everything you want. And pretty good prices now.
Yeah.
Over the last year or so, I've noticed the prices have dropped drastically.
Oh yeah. I was surprised, I tell you, when I saw some price droppings.
Oh yeah.
As you know, I'm
drop prices like ridiculous to the point that black market can't even compete, to be fair, anymore. Like that's why a lot of these on reserve dispensaries and stuff were literally growing for themselves. They've cut all the black market out, and the most that they would ever pay a black market grower that would go in there to try and sell their cannabis to the res out here, maximum $500 a pound. So the black market growers aren't going to take $500 a pound. They're wanting $2,500 for it. So they're like going to lose $2,000 on every pound. What's the point? The growers can't, to be fair, unless you're in a great big huge licensed production, you can't afford to produce pounds for $500.
No.
I've grown for a very long time, and pounds cost way more than $500, even with LED lights and power and nutrients and your time and your effort, your dirt.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got 5-6 months into one plant, and they want to give you like next to nothing for it. So it's kind of a slap in the face to the black market grower or to the legacy grower. I wouldn't even call them black market grower. I'll call us legacy growers now. Or even patients, like that's why the designated grower portion of patients have really has dried up, because the designated growers cannot divert anywhere where they can cover the cost of what it costs to produce for the patient for nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's just no way for them to recoup any of it. You can't take it to a legacy dispensary, because they're very far and few between anymore. There's hardly any running, right? And the ones
Yeah,
that
as far as the ones, as far as the legacy, as far as the dispensaries, like what we dealt with in Toronto, in the early 2000s and stuff. There was at one time there was over 100 dispensaries, but in the early day, when I first got involved in the cannabis community, there was only a handful of them.
Right, and then over time, we got to the point where there was like every other doorway in Vancouver. We didn't have two. In fact, before even legalization came into regulation, they had two running in Kimberley. Cranbrook wouldn't allow them, but Kimberley, which was 35 kilometers away, would allow two medical dispensaries to run. Now both of them are now licensed through the province, so they're still the same. They had to change their names. Like one's a boutique now, and the other one changed its name from Earth Own Natural to just Earth Own. And they're having to sell legal product now. They have to buy from the LBD, and it's got to be dropped off every Wednesday through a truck, kind of like they do with liquor. Same day, once a week, they put their order in, they send it into the LBD, and then they get their order. They pay for it, and then it comes. So same as with liquor, and it's all through the same producers, right?
Yeah. Now, Glenn, here in Ontario, the government has just allowed for permanent delivery when it comes to cannabis. Does the Cannabis MB do deliveries?
As far as I know, there's no delivery here at all.
Nothing, eh?
When they closed down the dispensaries here, they basically closed all that down.
Yeah.
You could get delivery before. It was pretty free. It was pretty open, and there was probably 20 different dispensaries in town, like right in town. And some of them were great. Some of them are bad, like everywhere else.
Yeah.
The ones on the reserve now are better than the dispensaries were before, but it took them a couple of years to get up to speed.
Yeah, they did, eh?
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad when so many people were going to some of these dispensaries, patients, and they shut them down. And where do they go? And
they basically shut them down and said go to Cannabis New Brunswick, and they had no product.
Yeah.
They had nothing to sell anybody.
The survey says that 53% of the people who enter these stores do so for medicinal purposes as well. And yet, how many medical dispensaries, like legal medical dispensaries, do we have in the country?
None. One. But to be fair, like we talked about this too, like, they can Google what strains, whether we like it or not, the access that people have now. Because they're legal, more people are actually going to them and using them, which, kind of takes the stigma off cannabis. Like I said, I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it does allow people access. And JR's put down here, we have too many for Cranbrook. We do. We've got like 8 or 10 stores with a population of 20,000. Every 2 blocks, there's a cannabis store selling the same product. But that's will be like supply and demand and consumer, whoever.
Yeah, the market will dictate.
Who what gets, the most sales wins, right? But
yeah, I was telling Glenn earlier that our old stomping grounds there in Campbellford, 3 stores. I mean, the town itself probably has, I don't know, maybe like 5,000 people in it.
When I lived there was 3,000. So I don't know like how many more they've added.
Yeah, because the town at one time before amalgamation, there was 3,200 people in the town. So I just put it at 5,000 to give a bit of an estimate when it comes to how many are actually in the town now. And they're looking at trying to put a bylaw in to prevent the stores, not to prevent the stores, but to prevent the numbers, control the numbers of stores. But where those 3 stores are located, you can walk to 12 places and buy alcohol beverages.
Yep.
No one's complaining about that. Right, so when you compare the two, it's just that it's crazy. So
that's crazy.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Maybe you guys don't have deliveries, but I see there the news. You got a cup going on.
Yes, we have a cannabis cup. I just learned about that in our little news segments that we were doing the last couple of days. I didn't know they had it. So it looks to me like it's a kind of you pick up a package for $250 at Cannabis New Brunswick, and it looks like a pretty decent package. There's a bunch of different
I mean, the province is having a cup.
Pardon?
The province is having a cup, like the actual, like
provinces. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Cannabis NB, the retailer is having a cup. Go ahead.
Yep. So you pay $250 for your package, and then you get to vote online for a bunch of different categories.
Yeah. You get an ounce. You get an ounce of cannabis, and there's other products within the bag. I think you have to register online in order to get it. Yeah, $250. And the material comes from last year. It was all based just out of the East Coast. Now they've expanded it to go across the country as far as entries. So, and they said in the article that it's based on the legacy market ones, the ones that we've participated in, or the ones that like you've held, Tamara.
Right. Right.
Yeah, just like the Kootenai cup.
Yeah, I've gotten it. Like that's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, not even original thought in their head. They have to, steal other people's ideas and I mean, guess it's not really, you can't do anything about it. It's not like you can copyright an idea or a cup. It's no more than we could copyright our dang magazines that we can't write anymore either because we can't advertise, right? Like,
oh, I know. They need some changes. Well, people are working on that somewhere. That's what's going on.
It's just ridiculous. You can't have this, you can't have that, but people are still doing it. But you don't do it. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay, we got a few more minutes left before we go to the break. Let's see. Now, no more on Cannabis NB and their cups and stuff. I started to ask you about the grow up games. We got 3 minutes. We'll kill it with this. Grow up games, tournaments. You want to let everybody know what they were about? You remember?
I remember playing the game. They were fun. It was more about getting together and just having a fun day with a whole bunch of people who basically think like you do. They're cannabis users. It's just a fun day. It's like basically Monopoly with cannabis.
It's a board game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each side had different places that were worth different value, and obviously one side, like in Monopoly, where Park Place, it's more costly than where you start. And it was the same idea. Instead of putting motels and hotels on your property, you put gardens on your property.
And my favorite part is the little cop that comes around and busts you as he's going around the board the other way. I love that.
Yeah. It would move every time someone rolled, right? So you'd have a garden set up, and you come along and wipe out your garden and take your property, and sometimes you'd end up half the game in the jail, or you couldn't. Yeah, sometimes it was frustrating. You go an hour and a half, and you wouldn't be able to do anything. You always get busted. But you had a way to sell your garden. There was an organization, and you could sell it there, and you get up to about $110,000 for your garden, depending on your property.
Right on.
So we could get like 20 to 25 people that would come up or show up, and we come for the day. It would be like 6 hours long, 7 hours long, and it's the whole day. And people would
have a great lunch.
Yeah, great lunch. Everybody brought stuff. It would be medicated food, non-medicated food. Right. Yeah. And
I remember the medicated chocolate fountain. I love that.
Yes. That was always good. And you juice fruit, bananas, strawberries, all kinds of things.
That's always good. Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah. And we got prizes, collected prizes from the different stores in the area, Peterborough and Belleville. They donated prizes, and people would buy raffle tickets.
Well, yeah, we could get sponsorship, right? Like.
Yeah, and they would take those prizes, and then that money was converted into brochures and stuff that we would hand out at those trade shows and things that Glenn also participated with Treating Yourself magazine. So, and we'll get into more of that after break because I see it's the top of the hour. How's that? Sound good?
Sounds good.
All righty. Here we go. Off we go. When we return, we will continue our discussion with our guest, Glenn Prentice, and also new host here on the Reefer Reporters starting tomorrow. Right? You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook pages, as well as our YouTube channel. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our Hydroponics Superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive.
The only way to go.
Hi folks, Scott from stfattiesday.com here, and we're absolutely stoked to tell you about our brand new program called Pass the Peace Pipe and our partnership with Legacy 420 out of Tyne-Nanaga. We are absolutely proud to be partners with these people. They are an amazing group that have helped so many people with their amazing cannabis medicinal products. And we are working together to gather funds to build the first ever Indigenous specific opioid addiction center here in the Bay of Quinte area on Tyne-Nanagan land. So we need your help. We need you to repost this video and go to our GoFundMe campaign, because on this October 17th, St. Fatty's Day, we are going to be starting the campaign where we pass the peace pipe from one side of the country to another to unite our country, to gather awareness, but most importantly funds to build opioid addiction centers across the nation, one build at a time.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Hey, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the Pace Radio Show. We are live and being watched here on YouTube, our YouTube channel, as well as on Facebook. Podcasted afterwards at paceradio.net. Today in the program, we're joined by our friend and newest network host here on the Reefer Reporters, and that is Glenn Prentice. And Tamara is here as well, and myself, I'm here. I'm always here. I'm always hanging around. You know how it is.
We gotta always just be hanging around. Right?
Just hanging around. That's right. Talking cannabis. That's it. That's what we do, right?
That's the best thing
We've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Never gets boring. I always like talking about cannabis.
And, we keep saying, it's always getting more difficult to find content, but then something else comes up, right? Yeah. Or something else that comes along, we can, talk about that. Because, like I said, in reality, until all the laws are off of this, and we've got harm reduction, and we've got either legalization and lack of prohibition, or I'm not exactly how we're sure they're going to go about it, but off of all small amounts of drugs, so we can stop this opioid crisis that we've got going on. I don't know what the solutions are, but that's a big thing, especially in British Columbia, especially
big time.
Everywhere, right? Let's be fair. It's not just in downtown East Vancouver.
No, there's literally thousands that are dying.
Right. And again, like our next week's guest, who they run the drug testing site in Vancouver. We've got anchors here in Cranbrook too. And we've got drug alerts out again this week. And I hate to bring that, to like not off topic, but I mean because cannabis should be being used too as harm reduction, where we've got two programs that do. We've got Neil Magnuson out on the West Coast doing substitution. They got Chris Backer on the East Coast doing substitution, right? But there's also some groups, I believe, in Winnipeg and Saskatoon and other parts of Canada too that are doing some substitution programs. But it's not enough, again, because of the lack of legacy growth anymore. Because it's too expensive to make your own edibles unless you can grow more than 4 plants.
Yeah, you can grow 4 big ones, 4 big ones.
They better be really big ones.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there was one other thing I want to touch on when we first met. That was you seemed quite surprised. We did these. I mentioned the TY. You got involved with TY Expo, helped out the boost there, but before that. You got involved with me, and you were one of 4 people that were involved in writing an article for Treating Yourself. And we did a tour in Toronto of the vapor lounges, and we did an analysis and review of the lounges in the city. Up to that point, I think you were pretty well just smoking the bong at home.
I was a joint smoker. My whole life, I mean, obviously I tried bongs here and there, but I like joints. I used to get up in the morning, I'd roll 20 or 30 joints, and that would be good for the day. Kind of like you did the same thing, Al. I remember piles of joints rolling. Anyway, I switched to a bong to try to slow down a little bit on the volume that I was going through, and it did work. And when I first got involved with you, I was more of everything was hidden back then. And I know it's only about 12 years ago, but everything was just on the cusp of legalization. It was, we had the medical part of it just starting to happen, within a few years before that. For me, it was always hide it. My whole life, or till the last maybe 12, 15 years, it was always hide it. Yeah. You didn't want your employer to know. You didn't want your some of your friends to know. You didn't want your mother to know. Things like that. Now I've actually smoked with my mother. She's 78 years old, and she uses cannabis now because she realizes she was lied to most of her life, and she worked with brain damaged people, and her whole life she spent telling me how evil I was, or not me, but how evil cannabis was, how anything to do with it, but I think she realized later on that I really didn't get into it. I mean, I got into trouble, and I did, but that was all when I was young and alcohol based. When I stopped using alcohol, I stopped getting into trouble, and I still used cannabis the whole time. So my problems were based on alcohol and being stupid and young.
Right. That and cannabis didn't make you stupid and still.
Yeah, and when I met you, it kind of opened my eyes a bit to what actually was going on, because like I said, I was hiding it.
Yeah.
I wasn't out there. My friends too that smoked. Another friend named Glenn Hennings. He smoked for a long time, and there was the same thing. He hid it. Because that was our generation. We were taught it was bad.
Yeah, I know. I hid it to the longest time until I became a patient and was doing it medicinally. And
I think that's what changed me.
I had my license, so it was sort of like, okay, well, I can do this legally. So, but even still, there was in those beginning times, there's still that first experience where if you've got some concerns, you're going to be a little bit hesitant.
My mom spoke to me for 2 years.
What's that?
My mom worked for the RCMP, right? She showed up.
Right. Yeah.
We lived in a condo in Calgary with my ex-husband, and we had smoked cannabis with a couple friends inside the condo. We weren't expecting my parents to show up on the doorstep. And my mom come rolling up on the doorstep, knocked on the door, come whirling in, took one whiff. She goes, "You've been smoking marijuana." turned around, flipped around, walked out the door, and wouldn't talk to me for 2 years. I was a drug addict.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Now I can sit and cut it up in front of her at our table, and I go outside and smoke it, but my son smokes it in her house because he lives there.
Oh, really? Oh, well, we all have our reasons. Like myself, I don't smoke in my house. I go outside. I have a spot where I can go out to the garage. Some of us lucky to have a garage. At least we
I
can
think that's a stigma
get in and out of the weather.
We just don't smoke in houses because it's smoke, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gail's here. Sometimes the grandkids are here as well. I do vaporize in the house. Yeah.
I don't vape or smoke in the house. I have 2 immunocompromised people in the house, so there's no smoke, anything like that in the house.
Right.
That's why you probably won't see me smoking on the broadcast here, because I actually have to go outside.
Oh yeah. Now I've got no one to answer to. My 12-year-old's upstairs in his own space, and yeah, I don't smoke cigarettes in my house at all. But I'll vape this in my house.
You're vaping. You got a pen there in your hand.
Yeah, and I will smoke doobies. Like normally I'm in my bedroom all the time, so normally it's in one room. I might smoke one joint when I'm out here. That's one joint a week out in this big room when I'm on there. And like I said, but we've always normalized it. We've never made a big deal about it. It's not like it's unusual for anybody that would come into my house and smell weed and wouldn't think anything of it. They go, oh, tomorrow, because it's just been so. No, yeah, just something that we do. Like it's
exactly. Like my grandchildren, when they're over, I've talked to them about it. They know, it's Papa's medicine, and just like Papa's other medicine, you don't touch it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So, all right, now back to the lounge. That experience. Do you remember what all we did? I actually have the article here.
I don't remember every place, but I do remember a couple places. I remember the comedy club was my favorite of the whole trip.
Was that
the Underground Comedy Club?
Underground Comedy Club was just great.
She's having a show tomorrow night for St. Patrick's Day, and then she's also having a show in April for Ukraine donations. She's still doing it. She's still kicking it. Yeah.
You can see there in the picture, in the one picture to the right, that's the Underground Comedy Club.
Yeah.
There you can see here, that right here, we're talking about the Underground Comedy Club as well in the article. Let's see what else. Where else have we got? We got some pictures here. Vapour Social, the Hot Box Cafe. Tamara, you would have been to the Hot Box Cafe. You might recognize that.
I didn't make it to the Hot Box. No.
That's what Hot Box Cafe was another highlight.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. I see in the news posted on Facebook, Abby wrote, you still in the Hot Box Cafe, is expecting.
Oh.
That's what I seen today too. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I think that's just awesome. I just think it's great.
So, in this review, what did we? Oh, we went to 7 places. I'm just sort of scrolling through, getting started. Okay.
You guys go to Vapour Central too? Like, did you head to Vapour Central? Were you there? Or Vapour?
Yeah, we went to Vapour Central. We reviewed the consumption, how people could consume there, access, the business as far as 18 plus, stuff like that.
Right.
Washroom access, and we reviewed each location.
There was some problems with washroom access in a couple of them.
Yeah, there was. You can see here
wheelchair access.
There's Vapour Central. There's the entranceway. You see Sam and Sean. Bong tenders is what I have them labeled there as. But look at the other picture. That's Scott and Butterfly there. Butterfly, yeah. Right above them, look at the massive size of that air filter.
Yeah, the ventilation they had at Vapour
ventilation, exactly.
And if I remember, we still couldn't smoke joints in there. We weren't like you could use the vapor pens, you could use the vape bags, but they wouldn't allow any joints.
At Vapor Central, you could. It was the hot box where you could only vaporize.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Because when I was there, Aaron and Chris were running it, and they wouldn't let nobody smoke joints when I was
Oh,
there.
really? Eh? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about transportation. How do you get to the places? Subways and things like that. The cost to get into them, into the locations.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Scott there. See that? Yeah. See that vaporizer in front of him? I got one of those sitting right here beside me. Hey, Glenn. There you are. Look at that.
There I am.
There you are. Look at it.
Hey, my beard's not all gray there.
Yeah.
Is that a sublimator? What is that? What or is that what kind of bong is that, Al?
To the left?
Yeah.
That is TY Roar vaporizer bong. Okay. And that is here. I'll show you. I've got an e-nail on it right now.
On there, right?
Yeah. But this is sort of works opposite to a bong, whereas you put your cannabis in the top instead of inhaling from the top. Put your cannabis in the top and you inhale from the straw. Your vapor goes down a tube into the water through a percolator, and then it comes out and up the inside, well, sort of the outside of it, and then it comes out on a draw. So.
Is that for cannabis and for extract?
Yeah, I've adapted it. I've adapted the e-nail onto it. It came originally with just the herb attachment. And,
is that the one in the fancy wooden box?
Yeah,
that's the ones I remember. Those.
That's the one. This one here is actually one that I bought off of a guy who won it. TY was giving these away, and you got your name engraved in them. It's hot, so I don't want to move it around. You wouldn't be able to see the etching, but the guy who won it, his name was Jake. Jake 420 is what he got put on it, engraved on his bong, and then I bought it off him because back then vaping wasn't something like a lot of people were into, and he used it for a bit and found that he preferred joints, so. He wanted to sell it, and he got a hold of me.
Right on.
So I said,
no, my vaporizer, like I have a Volcano, right? That I've had. Marco sent me out 2 of them back in like 2008.
Oh yeah.
And I auctioned one off that went to a fundraiser for somebody, and then one was meant for me, and I've used it up until 2 years ago, probably.
Mm-hmm.
It won't work anymore. It just gave up.
Yeah.
It won't blow. It just will not blow any air anymore. It's gave up the ghost, right? So, and I just smoke joints most of the time.
Smoke joints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I see here, I've still got the article there. I see they were at Vape on the Lake. You can see Michelle Rainey.
Oh yeah.
On the wall there with her medicinal T-shirt on, and you may not be able. You probably can't read it, but down here, these are cannabis buds, and it's Afghani Bull Rider. Mm-hmm. That was Michelle's favorite strain. Places offered literature. We talked about the seating, menus, food, comfort. We did all kinds of reviews. There's Glenn again, checking out some awesome glass.
Yeah, it's hopefully we can see some rejuvenation of some going out.
Exactly.
We've got and you can't even say, well, the virus is under control, because it's not.
No.
So we just have to try and do things differently, I guess. I don't know. It's good that people are going forward with some of their events. That's all.
There's the different lounges that we reviewed, Glenn. They're all closed, man. Well, the hot box I understand is open.
Do they still have a hot box in Jamaica?
No.
That one's gone now.
I don't. Yeah, because Abby sold. Yeah, because Abby sold the hot box. So I don't know what all became of the one in Jamaica. I haven't got a clue.
I don't know.
Yeah, it got purchased by a retailer.
Oh.
A store. Yeah. They own a bunch of them, Friendly Stranger and Hot Box and a couple others. So like they've got.
Yeah, it was a Friendly Stranger franchise that went in and bought the Hot Box, and they've got several.
Yeah.
They're a franchise. So
Frank.
Abby sold the franchise to them, but apparently it was owned by somebody she knows. And then I believe she went to work for the Ontario Regulatory Board.
She went for the OCS. She worked She went to work at the OCS.
And then I'm not sure what went on from there. No, and I think it's great, like because everybody's moved forward. Like I said, now we've had 4 years of regulation, like legalization, whatever you want to call it, and things have changed rapidly for a lot of things, right? And not all in a good way, but not all in a bad way. Some of it either, right?
Now, talking about lounges and wanting to bring them back, there is just recently in the news was lounge discussion about bringing it back. I just can't remember where exactly it was now, but there was a news article that we covered about a lounges opening in one of these provinces.
I thought that was in Colorado.
Where?
In Colorado. Somewhere.
Well, yeah, that was Colorado, but there's one here there's one in Canada. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to pull it up, but yeah, there is some discussion. So, unfortunately, it can take a long time for that discussion to materialize into something.
But I don't know why it would take so long. If there's seriously, if they're not selling anything in these places. But again, if they've upped the rates on how much you can buy as far as edibles, as far as the drinks go. If people want to go into a bar per se kind of deal, with
a lounge,
with, I don't know if they're ever going to go smoking, but they could offer them the drinks. You know what I'm saying? With that, just because I just can't ever see them really because they can't vapor smoke inside anywhere. The bylaws for smoking and vaping indoors in every province are pretty standard across the board. You cannot smoke or vape inside a building with public.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's going to have to be one of those things where it's going to be edibles and beverages
or something that people can go in and order a whatever cannabis cocktail type of thing or something along those lines, right? Or infused foods. Cannabis infused chips and pickles. I don't know what would you where to see that.
Okay, this was the news. This is a recent article that came out. I got it on my phone, so I can't bring it up. But what was it? A week ago, cannabis is coming to festivals in Alberta. They want to be able to allow them to allow live events and festivals to be able to have cannabis licenses. And how it would work is consumption of cannabis must be approved by the municipality. The product can only be delivered to the consumer at a secure place from a legal retailer. So as far as the ones who's doing it.
It's kind of like with their
cannabis. Yeah, cannabis can be combined with food and drink at the location as the food and drink provider is not charged for the service. Okay. Only non-combustible cannabis can be consumed. And it has to be federally approved cannabis beverages, edibles, isolates, distillates, and oils that can be paired or infused with food, drinks, can be consumed all on site. 18 and over, and no alcohol can be served within the same area. So it's a cannabis booth being held at a festival. This is Alberta, if they get everything to go through. And but there you go. There's no smoking. There's no vaporizing. It'd be like a beer tent.
Yeah.
It'll be a cannabis beverage.
It'd be a beer tent where you can't smoke, but you can drink. You can drink their stuff, and they can eat the infused food. So it'd be great if you just want to eat it. But I mean, let's face it, you eat it, sometimes you're sleeping 20 minutes later, so
Well, it depends
how
on
much
how
money
many.
you're gonna be
It's only, don't forget, it's only 10 milliliters. You got 10 milligrams. You got to eat.
You got 10
eat a lot.
drinks, and then you got 10 milligrams in your burger and in your
Yeah.
salad. You pile all those 10 milligrams on top. Next thing you know, Buddy's sucked back 1,000 milligrams, and he's on his way to the fucking hospital. There goes the ambulance now.
Perfect timing.
But you know what I mean, for these lightweights, like, you know what I mean. You got to bring themselves. I don't know, but it just I get, like I said, that's the problem with the vape lounge. Like, maybe take the vape part of it and have, like, edible bistros, and have people's brains kind of getting off the smoking combustible portion, because, like I said, they've got bylaws that you can't smoke cigarettes. You've got the plague if you smoke.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're like, you smoke cigarettes, you better go smoke that thing over there.
They could be able, like, a lounge should be set up. Yet again, we're going back to the alcohol reference, but you go into the bar, you order a Canadian, or you order a Scotch or whatever, and you sit down and you listen to the entertainment that could be on stage. It could be an open mic moment. It could be a band. Who knows what it is, right? And if you want to order a meal, but instead you're ordering a cannabis beverage, or you're maybe ordering some edibles. While you're there.
Great. Like I said, that would be all fine and dandy. But again,
and without the problems, like when one of the articles I wrote for TY had to do with the police and stuff. Actually, I think it was the same as the Vapour Lounge article, and there wasn't any, like, there was interactions, like, over multiple years, like several years. There was like 76 visits to the lounges, but those were just visits. That doesn't mean that there was a call to them. That doesn't mean there was arrest or anything. It just means that they visited them. They went in and left. To do the alcohol district in Toronto, that'd just be a one night or a weekend where there'd be actual incidents when the police have to get involved.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, again, that's kind of like, they're so not like. I know everybody wants to compare them because of the fact that they're under the same regulations, right?
Yeah, they are, and they're controlled by the same people.
Right, they're all controlled by the same regulations, but they are so different. Like you said, 76 interactions over how many years with cannabis, and they've got 76
Hotbox is 20 years. Hotbox was almost 20 years old at that time.
Right? Like, yeah.
I
just because I know the interactions with alcohol, like I said, 76 in an hour, probably downtown, anywhere, large city. What do you mean 76 a minute? Like,
did you have any lounges in New Brunswick? Did you ever see any, Glenn?
I have never seen a lounge here. It doesn't mean they didn't exist, but I live in Fredericton. It's a small city. There's still Moncton and St. John. So I'm assuming there probably was one or two in those places, but I've never experienced one here.
None, eh? Never know. Maybe in the future. I
would love it. I think it's great. I had a great time at the lounges. I wish they were still around.
Yeah. And you were like-minded people. It was a social setting. People were getting along, having a good time.
What was really funny? We walked through some pretty seedy areas in downtown Toronto, and the only time I ever was worried at all was walking to the places. Once you got to, there was only one that was like that. The rest were on like main streets. Once you got to it, everything was copacetic. Everybody they thought the same as you did.
Fine. I think I might know which one that one. That might have been the one on Parliament Street.
I think so.
Zion.
I can't remember the name of it.
Zion Lounge?
Zion Lounge. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I know one of the guys who was involved in the lounge there. I met him in Hamilton many years before that. All right, Glenn, Tamara, it's the end of the hour and a half. 90 minutes is coming and gone already.
I know.
We're going to talk about for 90 minutes with Glenn.
Yeah.
We did her. All righty.
That's past my bedtime now.
Yeah, you're on. It's what 10:30 where you are. 7:30 where Tamara is.
Yeah. Not even dark here yet.
Not even dark.
I bought. We had a Ukraine sale for buy the meal, and they're giving so much money to the towards Red Cross or whatever it is, and I bought one for Teo, and he doesn't want it. So I know I'm going to get probably demands of food.
Yeah. Demands for food. All righty, it is shout out time. Glenn, time for you. You got a shout out person.
I'd just like to say hello to everybody. Very nice to meet you, Tamara.
Nice to meet you too.
All righty, Tamara, you got one?
We got grassroots tomorrow.
No.
Okay, then no.
No, next week. Next week.
Yeah,
next week.
No, not really. Like I said, we're kind of wait. Oh yeah, I guess we do. We're gonna have Dana Larson on our show next Wednesday. So we've got kind of come on and talk about his lounges, both Coca Cafe and the mushrooms, and what he's been up to in the last little bit because he's been in the media. So let's catch up with him.
Yeah, there was an article on CBC, so interesting to see the coverage that way. As far as myself, I want to throw a shout out to the FICO Playbook, FICOplaybook.com. FICO is, as people know, fully extracted cannabis oil, and what they are looking for is patient reported outcomes, and that's basically people telling their story. And what they're doing is collecting up these stories, and eventually going to be doing something with it in order to, hopefully get laws and things changed, not only here in Canada but across North America and the world. They got big hopes, and I believe down the road we're going to learn a little bit more about these people behind the FICO Playbook. I know that. All right, so check it out, FICOplaybook.com. Also, I believe there's a Facebook group, FICO Playbook as well. Check them out. See if you can find them. Just a reminder, next week, Tamara and I will be back, as she mentioned. Dana Larson will be our guest. He's a scheduled guest. Also, thank yous to our sponsors, BMAHydroponics.com, Legacy420.com, DrBuckCTS.com, and the Campbellford Lifestyle store as well. Glenn, and a new co-host here on the network, on the Reefer Reporter. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you very much. Night all.
Night all. And Tamara, thank you as well.
Thanks I'm always here.
All righty, good stuff. And thank you for our listeners and watchers for tuning in the program. We will see you all next week. And Glenn, we'll see you in about 30 seconds.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.